We are in Hachi, the ninth Midah, which is ותשליך נמצולות יום כל חטאתם. It's very, very complex and fundamental as to how to understand this. Let's read it again quickly. Let's re-explain what we learned last week. Zubi da toiva l'akadosh baruch hu ותשליך נמצולות יום כל חטאתם. Our reference to this is what we do on Rosh Hashanah. ותשליך, take some bread or something and throw it into the water. What's the purpose of that? Tshuva, it's not. We're going through Rosh Hashanah, we're going through Aseret Shemei Tshuva, we're going through Yom Kippur. So, like, we could the writer, right? What am I doing? It's like some kind of a symbolic thing which doesn't seem to accomplish much. So it's a symbolic. If it's symbolic, what is it symbolic of? What's the symbolism of it? And it's makars from something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, of ותשליך נמצולות יום כל חטאתם, that he takes our chatayim and he throws them into the sea. Kiviyachol. Zubi da toiva l'HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it means as follows: Sharei Yisrael chatu. In the case, the Klal Yisrael. And here he's talking about Klal Yisrael as a nation. If Klal Yisrael does a chet, if they, like in Mitzrayim, the whole Klal Yisrael did chet. In the Purim time, the whole Klal Yisrael did chet. It was a culture. So all these things are culture. Chorban bayis rishon, chorban bayis sheni. Chet HaKlal. So, Mesara biyad Paro, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as an onesh presumably, puts us in the hands of Paro, B'shavu b'tshuva. We do tshuva. It took a couple hundred years, I guess, for us to get it, but then we got it, and we did tshuva. So, we do a chet, Paro comes out to the scene, eventually is ba'orer us all. It might have been a couple of paros, until it was ba'orer us all to do tshuva, and then we did tshuva. Now what happens to Paro? Lama Yadesh Paro. We find Paro got an odesh for being Mitzar Klal Yisrael. We created Paro. Paro was, not just was he a shliach Hashem, but he was a creation of the Jewish people. If there would have never been Chatoyim, there would have never been Paro or Haman or Nebuchadnezzar or anything, or any type of Yisurim. So whether it's on the Klal or it's on the Prat. So Lama Yadesh Paro. Why should Paro get an Odesh? Not only is the question, like, did he have Bechira Chavshis, did he not have Bechira Chavshis? That's already Sugya the Rambam. Well, did he have a choice? Did he not have a choice? Did he go, Vayiksha Hashem is slave Paroi? But besides for that, if you look at it a little bit deeper, had there not been a chet, there would not have been a Paro. Maybe there was other Rishayim, other places in the world that we didn't even know of at the time. What's a Nogaya us? But Paroi was created by us, and Paroi did his job. He accomplished his goal, or Hashem's goal of getting us to do tshuva. So Lama Yadesh Paro, v'chein Sancher, v'chein Haman. Haman doesn't only get punished, but he gets punished today. Gmulei al Roisha, the same oinish that he wanted to give Mordechai, that's what he received.
Would you say something about Hitler?
Okay, it was same thing.
You would say so.
It's too close to look at it historically, but same thing. So but nobody's gonna. We're our tefillah all the time is Yimach Shabai V'Zichra. But it was actually, according to this line of reasoning, that's too close to look at. But Persia is easy. It was a chet. So the answer is, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu misnachet bilvad loimer shavu b'tshuva. You can lo yeh lahem od ra. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu would say, look, do tshuva, and the wrong will go away. If it's just a question of we were supposed to do tshuva, and then we did tshuva, so now Hamad poof, disappears. We did tshuva. It's over. Like the dentist removes drill from tooth. Job is done. But Zelo Yaspik, that's not enough. You have to destroy the whole drill here. Yashuv Amal Hamad Arashai V'chein Pari V'chein Sancher. Hamad has to get a punishment for this. V'atab al Hagazu, and the reason for this, and I explained this. I'm going to go over it again briefly, but we explained this by Rikus the other day. V'atab al Hagazu beside. This comes from the side of V'nasa Hasair Olav Es Kolav V'noisam Al Eretz Gezerah. That we find this ritual on Yom Kippur, which is also Hafla V'fela. That's something that we can't do these days. And that is that the Kohen takes the two seirim, he marks one LaHashem, one LaAzazel. LaHashem is a carbon. LaAzazel is also a form of a carbon, but a much more interesting one, that he says an elaborate vidui on behalf of Klal Yisrael. Puts on the next to the Sayer, and then it somehow or another transfers the Averos of Klal Yisrael onto the Sayer and throws them off a cliff. So what are we doing tshuva for? Is that what is? So now let's make the connection between throwing bread into the water and throwing goats off of mountains. And what's the Mapirusha Sholdavar? We have to do tshuva. We have to, but yet we're doing something else besides for the tshuva. We're doing something else. We're taking the soyer and we're throwing it off the mountains. We do a chet. See, in other religions this works. He's the carbon. He's dying for our sins. Doesn't work with us. Dying is unterheit. but is that what is? How does it somehow? How does it remove our sins? What's the? Although there is such a bechina of which maybe we need to understand of tzaddikim, mischaprim, avodas hador.
So we can do tshuva.
Kapara is different. That's the answer. Kapara is different. Probably just misunderstood by the nations of the world. So let's understand as follows. Two steps to catch us up. Number one is, and this is really what he's going to explain, that when a person does a chet, so when you do a chet, so there's really two things that have taken place, and this is what we have to, this is very real. This is very real. A person does a chet, there's two things that happen. One thing that happens is the pagam of the chet. I did a chet. Choose your avera. Person eats the wrong thing, speaks the wrong thing, hates the wrong person, has an affair. Have an affair. It's a chet. Person who has to show have an affair is a chet. You violated a relationship, and it's a chet. But besides for that, there's something else that happens, which is possibly even worse than the chet, and that is the residual effect of what you've done. In the case of somebody having an affair, it's very clear because there's a wife that's telling you what the residual effect of the chet is. The residual of the effect, like I can never trust you, and what is it, deep down about our relationship that has caused such a thing, and how could you? And so you could shoot the lady, you could shoot the mistress, but you haven't taken away And you can even do a genuine tshuva, like, I really have charata for doing that. Whatever the seder of tshuva is, charata ala avar, even kabbalah ala asid, vitui, hakol b'seder, aval, like what's somebody kills somebody. Okay, you could go through the whole tshuva process, but for it, you killed somebody. Like, we have to understand that the person is a killer. So there's like a secondary aspect to chet. And I believe in Chazal, the words of Chazal, the way the Mishnah says it in Pirkei Avos, that in Perek Daled, that Rabbi Rabbi Yaacov Haber, ha'osa mitzvah achas kodolo praklit achas, ha'over avera achas kodolo kategor echad. A kategor, it conjures up an image that in Shamayim there's a whole diyut about my avera, and now I've got a prosecutor and a defendant, and it's a whole gezach going on over here, like, which I am possibly even oblivious to. Or you can learn that this is right here in this world, or what I'd like to be mechadish today, right here in this person, there is now a kategor that has been created. So we'll get to the person for a second. Let's just take it out of Shamayim for a moment. The way the Abarbanel says Pshat ala Makom in the Mishnah is that, and we find this in Chazal a number of times, that with a different lashon than a kategor is we create a mashchis. There's a mashchis. Let's look at it as some type of a destructive malach. So we do an avera. Besides for the avera gufa, there's some kind of a mashchis that was created. Malachim in this world are here to carry out HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ratzon. So whenever we do a mitzvah, we've created something good, something positive in this world. Who knows what it's going to do to us, to other people? Because something wonderful can happen. I do a mitzvah. If a person does an avera, so you created this mashchis. So let's just get the lumdus, and then we'll get or let's say the mechanics, and then we'll get the lumdus. And the mechanics is that there's two things that happen, two dinim. Tshuva takes care of the avera, but it doesn't take care of the mashchis. The mashchis is still there. You created a mashchis. The mashchis is still there. Right? Let me give a harsh example of this, just so that we're crystal clear. Let's say a person raises a kid all wrong, and you've created a criminal. So, let's say you realize you made a mistake. If it's a mistake, I'm just giving a harsh example. You do tshuva. Or the kid lied. You still have the problem is still. So there's this residual effect of doing something wrong, whether it's a personal avera to my somebody who trusts me, my husband, my wife, family. It's hard to fix that. That second part of the avera is much harder to fix than the avera itself, if possible at all. Look at all the scandals that are out there. Could be this tshuva, but it's hard to fix the chil Hashem and the lack of trust forever, and the negative adjustment that it made to the whole Klal Yisrael, not just in terms of image, but in reality, like our whole hashkafa changes. It's very difficult. So could be this tshuva. The tshuva. We believe in tshuva. It could be ad kedei kach tshuva. If we know that a person did tshuva, we should be makabel the person back. But the damage is the damage. So that damage is called the mashchis. That's the mashchis that was created by the avera.
Let's say something where it's an omission. Like, for example, you decide one day not going to put on tefillin. So that day you didn't put on tefillin. Did you create a mashchis by the omission of the mitzvah?
So there's such a thing in halacha as bevatel a mitzvah, bevatel an essay, or less so. But yes, yes. So Avera is clearly going, Madregas, and there's different Einship, but every time you do an Avera, there's some type of a negative energy that's happening. It's that negative energy, we'll try to explain this, I don't think it's so simple, but it's that negative energy that's getting thrown into the water or getting thrown off the mountain. In other words, the siyata d'shmaya over here is not that it'll forgive my sin. That a person has to do yourself. That tshuva a person has to do. The question is, what's going to be with the mashchis? What are we going to do with the mashchis? And here is where HaKadosh Baruch Hu can help. But this is more miraculous than the Indian of tshuva itself. That there's the Indian of the mashchis that what we can understand, ironically, is at least on a spiritual level, as long as we think it's something spiritual, some kind of spiritual energy, we can understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is throwing it off the mountaintop, or telling us to throw it off the mountain. It's a little bit more difficult when we talk about the realities of life, with, as we say, the scandals, like where's the mountain, where's the goat, and how do we get rid of this thing? It's like really...
If Hashem did it, why do we need to do tashlich? We don't trust that He did it good enough, or
why do we do tashlich?
Yeah, why do we do
We're always
tashlich?
emulating Hashem.
yeah?
That's, so that's an excellent question. Actually, yeah, actually segue to what I want to bring out here. That so much deeper than the mechanics is the previous stuff, and I spoke about it maybe in the second Vita. That the Chazal say that there's three negative energies in this world. Maybe there's more, but three that we talk about a lot. There's the Yetzer Hara. There's a Satan, which gets a lot of press, even though nobody knows exactly what it is. And there's the Malach HaMavos, which we do know what it is. So we're all familiar with the Yetzer Hara, the Malach HaMavos. Satan's a little bit more complicated. The Gemara says on this that don't divide it into three. Who Yetzer Hara, who Hasatan, who Malach HaMavos. So I'll say bandit. Although it's the Yetzer Hara is one thing and the Malach HaMavos is a different thing. What's the who Yetzer Hara, who Hasatan, who Malach HaMavos? It's all one thing. Because don't fool yourself. It's all one thing. How's it one thing? So the Maharal explains, and I think it's Pashut Pshat. I mentioned this a number of months ago, I think, that the Pshat is that the Yetzer Hara is out there. The world is full of Yetzer Hara. A person walks the world, there's temptations, there's all kinds of... I'm not talking about things that are not shaykh to us. Not shaykh to us is not a temptation, but there are things that are shaykh to us, things that we can do wrong if we want to. So there's Yetzer Hara, which is far away. There's Yetzer Hara, which is quite close, but it's close. It's not here. So maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should steal this. Maybe I should lie here. Maybe I should say this. Look at this. There's all kinds of Yetzer Haras out there. But I hold them at bay, for the most part. We hold them all somewhat at arm's length, and then every once in a while we slip. When we slip and fall into that, we actually do the Avera, which Basof, B'derech Klal, Chazal tell us, is not a good feeling, it's a bad feeling. What's the bad feeling? The feeling is, we've just created a son. That's the Chazal say in Mishnayos that Ava Tluya B'davar Sefer Lispatel, that like if it's not Ava Tluya B'davar is the Yetzer Hara. K'boy, says the Chazal, says the Pirkei Avos, like Amnon and Tamar, David HaMelech's children. He raped her and then immediately hated her and tortured her and abused her. This is. It's not just like, do you really love me? No, I really hate you. I've created a son. So what happens when I do an Avera, Maharal explains, is I've taken the Yetzer Hara from out there and I've actually brought it in here. I've created something within me. I've created a son. So we're not even talking about a son in the world. That's why I say it's much more personal. We're talking about a son bifnim. And the word son, I'm just begging to lose all the Christian connotations, of the devil. But understand something which is ingested a sort of a spiritual cancer, a toxin within me. Why is it a toxin? Because Ba'atzem, You know, if anybody here has ever done any kind of an avera, I mean, you'll feel this. I'm not sure. I'm not speaking for myself. Basically, I'm a good person, right? We consider ourselves as good people. We are good people. But why does a good person do a bad thing? Like why am I really a good person? And it creates a certain stira within us. Am I a faker? Am I just putting on some kind of a show to myself, to even HaKadosh Baruch Hu, certainly to other people? Am I really a good person? If I was a good person, why would I do that when nobody is looking? So that's a good question, by the way. But the answer is because there's the Yetzer Hara. But I gave it to the Yetzer Hara, so now I have a Satan, and the Satan now is creating a fight within me. One of the natural things to do when ingesting the Satan, like in other words, like I drank the Drano, like it's there, it's within me now. So one of the natural things to do is to make peace with this Satan Bifnim. Making peace with the Satan Bifnim is probably what the psychologists call cognitive dissonance. The dissonance means, you know how that works, like in the world of music? Dissonance in the world of music is when there's a philharmonic, which is all, you know, the greatest masters in the world, and the maestro and the conductor, and one person starts one drop off key. So now everybody has to pass through. I hear this in shul almost every Shabbos. So somehow or another, like everybody has to now. So you don't have like in order to sort of adjust, everybody has to go in the wrong key in order to make this whole thing work biyachad. So what's good, instead of changing the person who made the wrong thing, which is very difficult to do because he's there. There's a dissonance. The cognitive dissonance is such that in order for me to live with myself, I'm going to farkrum and get my whole brain off key. It's not just that I'm rationalizing, which is we all know that we rationalize. It's more than that. I've changed myself into a less of a person really because of the Satan. I've changed myself into a person that no longer thinks clearly. I'm not thinking clearly because I have this Satan within me, and the reason I have this Satan within me is because I've done something which violates my sensibilities. So all my sensibilities have to change, and that's what's going on when the Yetzer Hara is ingested inwards. So who Yetzer Hara, who Hasatan. So this is another thing that takes place. So besides for the actual avera that I ate, okay, but. You know, I always say they say a joke that the Gemara says that if you see a Talmid Chacham do an avera, al tahara achra ki vaday asa tshuva. He definitely did tshuva. So the joke is that vaday asa tshuva. He definitely wrote a response about this. He already wrote a tshuva about it. He's got it all figured out. Don't worry about it. Like vaday asa tshuva. He already. You know, shilohs and tshuvas, you know, of why everything that's really wrong is right. Shoot, yeah. There's a famous, beautiful book called Contemporary Halachic Problems. It's written by Rabbi J.D. Bleich. It's a beautiful book, a number of volumes. So somebody who called me a few weeks ago, actually, he wants to write a book, like an answer to contemporary halachic solutions. like why? You know, the problem is I read the solutions; they're not solutions. In other words, the problems are problems. You know, so hu Yetzer Hara, hu Hasatan, says the Maral, that ultimately the Satan, hu Yisigucha. The Hisigucha, it'll get you at the end. At the end, if it's not, if not stopped, you know, in its tracks somehow, which is much more difficult to do once it's ingested. If the poison is not extracted, it will be a malach hamavis. It'll kill me either if not physically, spiritually, it'll kill me. I'll become so much less of a person, kilu, a dead person. Rishayim b'chayim nikrayim mesim. Everything, I mean, I've had the dubious privilege of meeting people that everything they say is cruel. Everything. It's when you make a whole life of unethical decisions, and you're basically an immoral person, everything you say is crooked. Not because he's not tzaddik, because it's going to rationalize everything. Everything is like every word that comes out is criminal. And so there's nothing yashar about the person. Then there's tshuva, so there's hope. The hope is with tshuva. Okay, I'm sorry, Hashem. What does that do exactly? What can the tshuva accomplish? It takes away the chet. But what about the damage that it's done? As I say, the damage is done within, the damage that is done bachutz, the damage that is done on a spiritual level. What happens with that? I've taken care. So now the Gemara has a formula which we don't like to talk about so much called yisurim. Listen to the lashon of yisurim. Again, this is for a mature audience here, but yisurim, the different pain and the aches and pains and the tribulations that I go through in life, is memarkin es ha'avera. That's a strong lashon, which I'm not even sure. What does it mean to be memarek? You're a Hebraist. Polish? The what?
In the Machzor, there's different nuskos, so we say machok, not marek.
Okay. So machok means to erase. What's memarek? What happens when you polish? That's the right. No, that's the result. But what are you doing there?
Rubbing off dirt.
Oh, what you're really doing is rubbing off the tarnish.
Yeah.
It's not like a magical thing when you rub it, out pops, genie, all of a sudden it looks nice. Hey. So the shot is that there's dirt and oxidation and all kinds of things that accumulate on something which is very valuable, dafka. It's actually interesting that this doesn't happen on fake stuff. And so there's a tarnishing of the soul, and now the yisurim come along in memarek es hachet. That sounds very painful. It's not something any of us want to experience. But I'm just looking at it objectively for something you can understand the need for it, right? Because what are we talking about? We're talking about you've ingested the avera. It's there. You've done tshuva for the avera. So the Gemara says in Yuba, the Rambam brings tshuva toila v'yisurim b'chaprim. Yom Kippur tshuva v'yisurim toila v'yom Kippur b'chaprim. These are different things. What are you saying, Darren?
What's being nimrak here? The neshama that's being punished, or the avera itself? Which one is being punished?
So the yisurim, So the yisurim lahavanasi have very little to do with the avera. The yisurim are taking away the residual damage that the avera did.
That's to the neshama.
To the neshama. And that's the purpose of the yisurim. It just simply cleanses the person out from. So let's say theoretically there's some source of dirt which is which is causing tarnish on my silver. I don't know what does that, but there's some source of it. Take away the source. I feel bad about the source, but you have a ugly looking candlestick here. So now the yisurim come and our memarek is on them. So therefore, if that's true, we don't want yisurim. None of us want yisurim.
We have to be thankful for them.
But you have to we have to understand them. But they're just. So we say vidui, which identifies the chet, and then we say v'ata tzadik al kol ba'aleinu ki emes asisa v'anachnu hirshanu. So v'kupta tziduk adin at the end of Hashem Baganu, at the end of vidui, the tziduk adin is that this is something I brought on myself, self, meaning I I can go the painless route. I can go the painless route, but then you end up with a root canal. and if you don't do that, you end up without a tooth. There was so there's a certain, avoidance. I'm very familiar with this. That's why I speak about this. There's a certain avoidance of this yisurim, but then what's happening? The who yetzer hara, who asan, who malach habavas ultimately is going to get you. So there's this yisurim. So we're mispalel that we shouldn't have yisurim kashim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should figure out maybe some other way of doing this. And the best thing is not to do averos to begin with. But to generations before us, where they weren't as anesthetic as we are and as mefunuki as we were, there was an understanding of Yisur. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that if a tzaddik the Gemara says if a tzaddik didn't have Yisur for 40 days, he get worried. He must not be an oil ben oil mahab, but there's no cleansing going on, there's no tarnishing going on. So that's the Yisur. So the Yisurim are dealing with the residual effect of the Avera. And then there's cleansed. David HaMelech, the way Chazal sees his whole life, went through 6 months of, which we're learning about until at night. He went through 6 months of his life where it was Nitztara and Parshu Mimenu Sanhedrin, and his children went against him. And, what terrible Yisur. Now he did tshuva, clearly. He did tshuva, and at the end he was triumphant. But life is not without, whether we like it or not, life is not without its challenges and without its Yisurim. But that's the perspective of Yisurim. So Yisurim, I think that the Rabbi Yonah says that you have to have kavanah for Yisurim or they don't work. So I think the superficial way of understanding it is like, as you're sitting there, the dentist is working on you. I have kavanah. Take away right. I mean, that's probably also something, but it probably means something much deeper. That understand Yisurim is a process that I'm going through. It's a process that I'm going through to be somehow or another. These Yisurim are mimarek the chet. So what's happened is now it's not becoming malach hamavos, and I can become the wonderful, beautiful, shiny person, shiny neshama that I'm meant to be. So there's a lot of processes here which are not only about the tshuva itself.
So what does it mean when they don't want the Yisurim? When brachos, it sounds like
Lo yehem v'lo yischarim.
Right, lo yehem v'lo yischarim.
Well, we know what it means. We don't want the Yisur, but
right. The positive effect.
The Gemara says the Gemara goes out to say that that's talking about Yisur Shel Ava. So Yisur Shel Ava is further improvement. Meaning Yisur Shel Ava is not getting rid of something negative, but it's talking about like a person could still become greater. So, at some point you're mindful of Yisur. So let's understand. So again, let's get to how the Sa'ir HaMishtaleach symbolically fits into this. Let's understand how the Bein Chavero symbolically fits into this. So when we're talking about a person who does a chet, it doesn't have to be Elul or Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur to think about this. A person does something wrong, you want to make sure that it doesn't become part of who I am and what I am, which is its natural derech. If I've done something wrong, a criminal becomes a hardened criminal. And this is the sod of Avera Gereres Avera. Schar mitzvah, schar Avera. So schar, like you get to do more Averas if you did an Avera, because now that I've got it all figured out, I can do whatever I want. It's okay. I can go further with my Averas. But what's really happening is little by little you're killing yourself. Killing your neshama and killing yourself. So now, that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's personal intervention. And that's real. Yisurim are a real thing. And that's the derech of being Makabel Yisurim. Grow from Yisurim. And pray that they should be light Yisurim, And but just read you for the Rabbak himself. The Moshe Cordovero says in a different sefer. The Ha'ilyan, he writes this in his Pirush of the Avodas Yom HaKippurim, Tikunei Kapara Tikun Tezvav. So this is the Tikun Tezvav, the Rabbak, the Tomer Devorah is the easy sefer, but it's not so easy. There's much there, and he's written volumes backing up this little Kitzur Shulchan Aruch of the Tomer Devorah. So you look back a little bit. Va'idyan ki ha'avodah shahayin noisei hasair hainu mashchisim. The averis which the sa'ir carries off the mountain for you, hainu mashchisim hanivraim ubishtalshalim bimkayram hara. These are mashchisim which have been created because of my averis. Pirush. Chibum ha'avera va'ilum l'malo u'paygmim. The avera itself goes l'malo, or as the Baral says, goes b'fnim. You can take it in any direction you want. And it creates a mashchis. It's created, the person created a mashchis. So Klal Yisrael created Haman. Haman was a physical manifestation of a mashchis that was created by Klal Yisrael.
When?
What?
When? Which door? The Chorah was created. But he was created, he was the Zerah from Zman of Shaul.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to choose somebody that's going to create somebody from the Zerah of Amalek.
And at some point in time he's going to come to life. He's going to be there, dormant.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe others.
Means that we had to be shaken up from an assimilation process. That's the Nana B'Sudah. They even ate kosher according to Chazal at that Sudah. It wasn't about an Avera. It was about our whole das after the Chorban Bayis Rishon became krum. We became akum. Our thinking wasn't clear. To a large extent, this is true after the Chorban Europe also. If you look at the United States I grew up with, it was everything like, okay, don't be stupid. You have to do this. You have to. I always think about my father who decided that he's not going to keep his store open on Shabbos. Not only was he ridiculed, he was abused by the community. But everybody was like, what do you have to make a living? What are you doing? What are you doing to your children? Like he was doing an Avera. His response, I can remember as a kid, okay, let's go ask the Rav if you think I'm doing something wrong. Let's ask the Rav if I'm doing an Avera, I'm doing an Avera. But there's a mentality which is so crooked, and obviously it was right not only from so he has 70, 80, Jewish grandchildren, from grandchildren, and the other ones don't have anything, So I mean, there's but I'm just bringing out to battle against the assimilation of a generation is it needed a Haman, and whenever that kind of culture creeps into the Jewish people, whether it's Sinas Chinam, needed a Titus HaRasha. This is what it needs. So we create this mashchis. That's the mashchis. We created the Haman. Ba'ata b'soid havidui. When we say vidui, so that's an acknowledgement that this is we did the wrong things. Chayzer v'yardim al roish hasair. Instead of the toxin attacking me, the vidui causes it to attack the sa'ir. So the Kohen is taking, is it symbolic, is it real, how's it going? In other words, there's a certain siyata d'shmaya, let's say, to get back on track. It's a certain siyata d'shvai to get back. Part of it might be yisurim, but maybe part of it is not yisurim. Maybe part of it is siyata d'shvai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps us as a generation and as individuals to get back on track. Because that's the other part of the generation that we all, or at least I grew up in, that somehow or another, always make this point that, there's no Baal Tshuva movement. There was an assimilation movement. Every once in a while, Klal Yisrael goes completely off the derech, and then Baruch Hashem comes back on the derech. But sometimes it's not through easy things that happens. So you get back on the derech. That's the Sayir HaMishtaleach.
Sounds very similar to what the Ramban says about a korban, that the person's high in Yisah, and Hashem and his chesed lets him kill the animal instead. The Ramban, yes. Right.
Okay.
And this is what he said early on. He said it's Kodesh Baruch Hu maintains this chait instead of saying go and be ne'ezan from the one who created you.
Right.
He maintains this chait until the time that you've
Toilet. Toilet. The chet is hagi. So there's a number of things that happen. Sometimes, I don't know how, what, when, it was sophisticated stuff here, but sometimes the chet doesn't attack, because Baruch Hu is holding on to it. Sometimes it does attack, and it's even more difficult to eradicate. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is helping us. The siyata d'shvai here is to get rid of the chet, we get rid of through tshuva. But when we say vidui, specifically when we say vidui, we enact a process of cleansing. And the cleansing can take place, that's why we say, we're makabel that there's a cleansing process that has to be done over here. But we also know that for sure with Bizman Shebeis HaMishkayim, that the cleansing process was an easier process because of the Sayir HaMishtaleach. I don't know what it is. But somehow or another, it's dealing with the mashas. Let's just read the words and then we'll end for till Thursday. This is why we did our students. Hatabla al hagazu b'soy v'losa hasoyer olav es kol avoloisa b'aleretz Cordovero u'peirushay sha'asoyer loisei avolos mamish v'zeh kosher moed. Hard to understand. V'chi Yisrael chatu ba'asoyer loisei el amida hikach ha'adam bisvada. The Seder HaDvarim is that a person says vidui. Vidui is deep, very hard to say vidui, to acknowledge that I've done something wrong. The moment that one acknowledges that they've done something wrong, you're already going opposite way of the derech of the cognitive dissonance that you've created. How often do you hear somebody say, I've done something wrong? Or even on a silly argument, how many people say, okay, I'm wrong? People get deeper entrenched. So vidui, boom, nips it in the butt. I said vidui, I've stopped that silly process. So in my jet lag, I was having this email argument with somebody at 2:30 in the morning on Thursday night, back and forth for 45 minutes. I was just amazed how a chashuv person could be so stupid. but it became to be. I'm often not right. In this case, I happen to have been 100% right. He was arguing with something that I had posted for somebody, and his fellow's mentor in America, like when there was how could you say this? And I explained to him. I said, but it could show Gemara, I could show Mishnah, I could show logic, I could show He was just getting more and more stupid as the emails went on because he couldn't. Just like I felt like saying, just take a breath. Don't type. Take a breath. Think. Are you able to say, okay, ta'isi, chatasi, avisi, pashati, no hard feelings, but very few people are able to do that. I myself included, I happen to be right in this case, but it's very few people are able to do that. So kal v'chomer, when you've really invested in something, and your whole life is invested in certain decisions that you made, It's very, very difficult. So, this is l'kabel olav tahara. The kavana of vidui is that I want to go the other direction now. Kabel olav tahara. Kidyu chaber David herev kapsedi me'avoidi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is helping. Herev means harbe. Herev kapsedi me'avoidi. I'm being laundered here. I'm being cleansed from my avoidance. That's necessary. You can't say that's not necessary. This is not a scoreboard here. This is something which is happening very deep inside of me. Beroik. Beroik is very deep, very personal. We're only permitted to daven elashiyu yisurim kalim. Look, nobody's telling us to do averes, but if you do an aver, we're permitted to pray that go easy on me. Like make this easy. I want a lot of anesthesia, a lot. I gotta make this not so painful. Shloyeh behem bintul Torah. You're allowed to daven. I can't. You're going to give me all these yisurim, I'm not going to be able to learn. And that's why we say go easy on me. That's okay. That's why I say at the end of my vidui, Babishu Mekabel Yisurim B'Sever Panav Yafas. Lischaper. And Lischaper means exactly that. Yom Kippur. Lischaper means to cleanse. It's different than Slicha, Mechila, Kapara. Kapara is referring to a cleansing process. It's not referring to a forgiveness process. I forgave you, but I have to I forgive you, Johnny, for playing in the mud, but now you need a bath, and it's going to be something you don't like. It's a different stage of development over here. It's a more advanced stage. That's what happens when a person says vidui on his tefillah. Okay, so it's a poem, and we start to get Bezos Hashem more positive. But what we need to think about is what does this mean in Avera Shebenon l'Chavero when the chet was against me, not against Hashem? Like what now? Just preview. What now is my obligation as a human being to someone who has sinned against me, in the Benon l'Chavero level of it? So now, okay, I'm sorry, but there's something that needs a miruk there, and we in this sense we play God.
Oh.
Huh? I don't have a good one. What do you need? Later.